Where the World Plays. DP World ILT20 is back with Season 4. Get ready for Season 4 of the DP World International League T20, the UAE's premier cricket and entertainment experience, live from December 2nd to January 4th across Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Sharjah cricket stadiums. Featuring 6 powerhouse franchise teams, including the Abu Dhabi Knight Riders, the Desert Vipers, the Dubai Capitals, the Gulf Giants, the MI Emirates and the Sharjah Warriors, the tournament promises to showcase the world's top T20 stars. Fans can enjoy enhanced matchday experiences at Dubai International Stadium, including the Sixes Lounge for premium hospitality and the Sixes Family Lounge with Santa's Grotto and festive activities. The all-new Christmas Wonderland will transform match days into holiday-themed festivals with live entertainment, food stalls, games, giveaways and attractions, while families in Abu Dhabi and Sharjah can visit Santa's Grotto for gifts and photos. The excitement builds further with daily raffle draws offering shopping vouchers and luxury staycations, plus a mega prize of 4 gold coins and a brand new Audi A3. Combining world-class cricket, family fun and festive celebration, DP World ILT20 Season 4 is the UAE's biggest winter celebration of sport and community. For tickets, use the link in the description and go to Virgin Megastore Tickets now.
Hello, Nicholas.
Hello, Sam.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
To give context to this, anybody that wants to know who Nicholas Brooks really is as a person, check out episode 59, where you came on and you gave a deep dive into your history, which is fantastic, all about Al Qudra racetrack and the cycling scene in Dubai.
Thank you.
However, we did touch upon some subjects at the end, which I felt compelled to talk to you about afterwards. And then I was like, that's unbelievable. Let's record that as a further episode, which was, we touched upon the enhanced games, performance enhancing drugs, then proteins and fitness and diet
creatine,
and everything like this, and creatine, which you will write about, and we'll get to that later. And obviously hidden sugars and everything like this in sport and in dietary systems. And so my first couple of questions to you on this, first of all, just to set the tone, is what qualifies you to genuinely be able to have this conversation?
So in all honesty, I don't have a doctor in my name because I didn't go that far into it. But I studied sports med in Melbourne. And was really passionate about it. I've always been passionate about sport. Been passionate about, I guess, making sure that what I'm taking in is quality. What I'm doing is quality. The people that I hang around with is, quality. So I guess with that, I spent a lot of time looking at things to take, proteins to, eat, how to do exercises properly, efficiency, rather than just taking the easy road. Because we all want the easy road. We all want to look good, quickly. We all want to be healthy, but actually, what effort are we really wanting to, put into it or invest into it? So, in short, uni days, I spent a lot of time, reading books, understanding it, but I was passionate about it, so it really sunk in. And I've always been around it. I've mentioned in the last episode about the bike shop, starting up Cycle Safe Dubai. I never wanted to, the idea wasn't making money out of, taking people for a bike ride. The idea was passing on something that I loved and to others. And I touched on, a guy that I think is awesome, Abdul, maybe I half name him. But, he got that bug and got inspired by it. And it still gives me, a great feeling whenever I see him out on the bike that he actually, I inspired him enough for him to get the bug and then take it somewhere. And I guess that's hopefully what this might do today is just give a couple of tidbits on not getting into the weeds, but, a couple of ideas of like maybe what to look out for. Maybe that, you know, you don't want the easy road. It has to be tough. But with that gives you a lot more sort of passion behind it, that you did it. You made the effort, you got up off the couch, or, you know, you started looking at what you were eating a little bit better than going, oh, I'll just grab that.
And I think, do you know what, the way you've articulated that is perfect, because I think that, as you mentioned, the weeds, and I think that the weeds, for context, is like the fine detailed minutiae that everyone gets into with these topics. And I think that we all want to listen to the long form podcasts, some of the biggest in the world, where they've got the nutrition expert on, or the sugar expert on, or the glucose expert on, and a million other experts. But after about, myself 100%, after about 20, 25 minutes, they start to talk in the scientific way and in the medical way, which I think loses a lot of people. And I think what could benefit people, especially me, which is why I want to do this, is just to hear it from a standpoint of your, forgive me, like the everyday man. You know, the everyday person needs to tweak what they're doing. And my biggest thing in the research I've done is that I don't think they understand the core principles, which I hope we will address.
I hope so.
And a starting point, I think, for me would be your opinion on the ultimate cheat codes at the moment, which is chemicals to get bigger, chemicals to get smaller. Steroids, Ozempic, Manjaro, you know, performance enhancing drugs and stuff like that. Where do you sort of stand on where to draw the line?
I think, you know, the saying of, either don't go overboard or, you know, don't take too much. You know, a little bit's okay, a lot is bad. I think if you have that idea, then, it's a good place to start, because there's going to be so many little tangents that you can jump off at. Oh, he said this, but, we went down this sort of path, and then you end up deviating to the point where you're off topic. So I think, things like, like steroids. If you want to look twice as big as you are, like what's the need for? I talk a lot to people about functional fitness. So you might need, and you've got to also differentiate things like a lot of people are taking, either growth hormones or testosterone, because over time we lose, our own ability to produce testosterone, and testosterone is great for both men and women. So as a young person, you're a lot bigger, you're producing a lot more testosterone. That's what gives you that sort of drive for so many things. So taking a little bit at the end of your life is actually beneficial. So you can go out and you can sort of, research and have a look at it as to why, but it benefits so many different pathways in your body. So I would definitely sort of say, as you get older, you should go and speak to a doctor, or, functional fitness person, and talk about like how much you should take, things like that. So, taking it just to get bigger, like if you're doing, I don't know, bench press type thing, and that's what you want to go and do, maybe taking lots of drugs just to get there, messes up a lot of other stuff. Same thing with Ozempic. Ozempic, has probably, I sort of argue the point, well, why did you get there in the first place? Taking Ozempic isn't going to solve the problem. The problem probably stems from something else. And generally it's mental. So like you should spend more time on that rather than, what you look like. Do that first and then get onto the
habits.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're not going to get from 300 pounds onto a treadmill and start walking it off. But, maybe a kickstart of going, once again, seeing your doctor, speaking to them about it, the true microdosing. There's a lot of people that take, the regular dose of Ozempic. It's 10 times what others talk about taking, that will benefit you in other ways. Sure, it's not drastic, takes a little bit of time, but you're able to lose the weight, then you can get on to walking a little bit more. You're not stressing your heart, all of these sort of things.
I think people have a big problem with the timescales involved. It's really, really easy to put weight on. It's very, very difficult to get it off.
Yeah.
And I think that...
And keep it off.
And I think that when, especially in a society that we have now, or we've had probably for a decade, and I'm definitely talking about Instagram and the body models and the this and that. I think if anybody looks at things in a realistic way, filters, it's what you're looking at is very, very, very falsified. So 100%. I think that if you are overweight chronically, which is why you could use Ozempic and everything, I think that you have to also understand that you're living in a world where, that's not real.
Exactly.
And you have to... How long do you think it would take to lose 25 kgs, let's say normally? I don't know. I'm asking from a real, I'm trying to ask from the layman's perspective,
I guess it's the 25 kilos, how did it get there? Did it get there from you sitting behind, a desk? You may have had an active job beforehand. And then as you climb the sort of ladder, let's say you were a factory worker. You've climbed the ladder, you've been down, working away with your hands, running around, getting things done, lifting things, whatever. And then you get promoted and you get promoted to a management level and you're doing less of the hands-on and more of the sitting down and managing, but you sort of still have this appetite, let's say. So you're still eating the same amount and then you sort of start putting a bit more weight on. You should be thinking about, okay, well, I'm not so busy for the whole day as I was before. So you need to add that in to keep taking in the calories that you are to then burn them off. So, for me, it always frustrates me when people sort of say, oh yeah, it's easy for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have no idea about what I get up to, through my day. You can get into fasting. I like intermittent fasting. It suits me. Yeah, I don't eat breakfast in the morning. I don't see the point. Haven't done it for 14 years. Yeah.
Why don't you see the point? Because I train fast. Intermittent fasting is a big deal. Yeah. But I found that very interesting. Why don't you see the point of breakfast when so many other people do? And you look great, by the way, so I can see it's working.
But it's what it's for, what it's doing. This is I guess is the thing that I get. We chatted about the whole thing of, we didn't want to get into the weeds. You need to touch on certain points, I guess, and why. What is it that you're eating? Why are you eating it? And what's it for?
Yeah, 100%.
And I think, that's when you can get into the same factors of why are you taking those drugs? What are they doing to you? And what's it for? Because if you tick some of those boxes, you'll get to the point where you go, okay, I don't need it anymore. So, that good healthy breakfast, the bowl of cornflakes, the slice of toast, the jam on top, the glass of orange juice, you've probably consumed twice the amount of sugar that you need, or energy, let's call it energy, than you need in your entire day. And then you've got to look at, it's all carbohydrates. What have you eaten in your cornflakes? There's a little bit of protein in your milk if you're putting milk on it. The jam's fruit, whether or not it is fruit, is another thing. The slice of toast is probably highly processed, got a bunch of rubbish in it. The glass of orange juice is super sugar. If you ate 4 oranges, if you sat down at a table across from a friend and you ordered 4 oranges to eat while they sort of had a glass of water or a cup of coffee, and you slowly ate your 4 oranges or ate it as fast as you could, that person would look at you very weirdly. Yeah. Yet you've got no problem about squeezing it, taking out all the fiber that, that's a whole nother sort of discussion around what fiber you actually need and the terminology that's used. But you drink the juice, all that you're getting is just the juice, nothing else. It's a huge sugar hit on your system. So you end up getting this huge spike in blood sugar. So I tend to look at it in saying that I don't need breakfast because most of the things I don't require. And it gives my body a little bit of, time to, process what it needs to. I'm a big one for ketones, which stems from more fats. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, you can talk about, you bring in the aspect of Ramadan. We live in Dubai, so it's around us, all the time. They're fasting, during the day. Well, why do they do that? You speak to, most Muslims that understand, the true meaning of, what it is to fast and everything like this, gives your body a break. So, during that time, fasting for Ramadan, I do it for, a certain amount of time because I also want my daughter to understand it and know where she lives. But, fasting's a good thing for you. Eating a little bit, later in the day and making sure you're getting the right calories and things. But I tend to look at my meals as in you've got a carbohydrate, which is fuel. You've got fats, which are fuel. And then you've got protein in the middle. You don't fill up both fuel tanks. You're either using your sugar or you're using your fats. Sugar for me is pointless because my body will make it. So that's probably a key point, that you do not need glucose. And people will tell you, but hang on, I've heard that your brain,
this.
Yeah. They'll say, but I heard your brain runs on glucose. Yes, it does. It also uses a huge amount. It's the biggest user of cholesterol in your body. It will switch off other aspects or other pathways and go, nope, that cholesterol's mine. But we hear cholesterol is really bad. This is another thing. Cholesterol isn't bad. And you can speak to the experts on it or sort of listen to the experts on it. So this whole thing about I tend to look at my fats, and I eat a lot of butter. You go into our sort of fridge and you'd probably be slightly put off with the amount of, fats and oils that we have, but it's good olive oil. It's good butter. You've got to look at the labels all the time. You don't want margarine is not butter. It's completely different. It's got vegetable fats in it. If you looked at the process of how they make vegetable fats, when was the last time you looked at, corn and thought, how do you get, you can get sugar out of it, but you also get fats out of it. How do they do it? And you've got this like 23 odd chemical process with some chemicals that you wouldn't put on your skin. They wear full coverings, yet you're going to consume it. So for me, it's very much I eat real. No, nothing at the start of the day. Give my body a little bit of a break. I do drink, coffee, but I tend to sort of push it out as much as I can. And then,
when do you drink your first coffee of the day?
Well, see, if you look at the information, you should be up for at least they say people that have done studies and time on it. They look at saying you should wake up. So if you're waking up at, let's say 6:30, you'd probably not be having your first coffee before 8 o'clock.
Well, that's going to be a dark 2 hours.
Yeah. The thing is
very unproductive.
Yeah, I love coffee.
Yeah, me too.
And I usually wake up, have a glass of water. I throw a pinch of salt in it. I'm a big one for salt. This whole thing about salt is bad. No, on a normal ride. We're in a hot part of town. It does get humid. During sort of certain times of the year. On average, you're losing between 1 to 3 grams, 1 to 2.5 grams of salt per hour.
What's a normal ride? Distance.
Oh, so the
distance, speed, calories burned.
So, I'm talking about
how many times a week
you're sweating.
Yeah.
So if you're averaging 30 kilometers an hour, that's a 30-kilometer ride, and an hour's timeline. So the thing is, you can gauge it on, I guess, if you're a cyclist and you've got your bottles and you're trying to work it out. Salt, you should be just loading up. And people say salt's bad. That study was done on the people that have KFC or McDonald's for breakfast, KFC for whatever, and all these fast foods that are loaded up with sugar, loaded up with whatever else, and they've got lots of sodium in it, and they've got lots of fat. But our brain loves that. You have a bit of sugar, a bit of fat. That combo just sparks our brain, and it's like, oh, that's good. So that whole thing about taking a lot of salt, you should be taking a lot of salt because it's involved in so many processes. Magnesium as well is super important for both sleep and for exercise. But you've got to choose the right one too.
No, I had an issue earlier in the year where I was getting really bad repeat headaches.
Yep.
And it was suggested to me that, are you actually consuming salt?
Yeah.
And I for one was thinking no salt, no salt, no salt, like this. And then I started putting every morning water, electrolytes with salt in.
Yeah.
Not tons of salt, but salt. And it's gone.
Yeah. There's this terminology like for brain fog. And I've spent a lot of time, probably over the last 5 or 6 years on this. I mean, I like reading up on stuff. I like reading medical reports. I can't sit down and read a book. Like that to me, I just can't sit still for half an hour. But if there's something that I'm interested in, I got no problem about consuming as much as I possibly can, to the point where it's probably a little bit sad, but I like the information. And this is the whole thing when you hear electrolytes, like be smart and understand that there's some products out there, and I won't mention them, but that's just glorified cordial without maybe the sugar in it. Still got a color. It's got a pitiful amount of sodium in it, yet it's meant to be a drink that you have.
Are you talking about tablets? Person. Or are you talking about pre-made, off-the-shelf, open it, drink it?
Yeah.
And the reason I say this is because
okay, I
think the person with minor knowledge knows that what's on the shelf is bad, but thinks the tablets is good.
Yeah.
Is that right or wrong? Do you think?
I don't know if it's a right or wrong aspect, because we're probably talking to a really wide audience.
But this is the point. Sorry, is that so many people don't like I said, kind of core principles. Go for that instead of that.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's probably a good way to think about it. So while in our bike shop we have a great electrolyte that we sort of promote and sell, but there's also the aspect that people just can't spend all that money on it, all the time. So get a bag of salt, and just have it there. I've got one. I've found the product that I like. They don't pay me for it, so I'm not going to mention it. But all it is a pinch of salt, throw it into a glass of water. I have that, and try and get as far into the day as possible before I have my first coffee, and then I enjoy it.
So, do you take any other supplements?
Yeah. So, I absolutely love creatine.
Okay.
Like it's something that I'm like a must have. When we travel, I always have it with me. And a lot of people go, but creatine's, you use it for the gym, and, a lot of ladies don't want to take it because they think that it makes you bigger. Creatine has no effect. If you take creatine without going to the gym, you don't get bigger. It's not one of those things that stimulates muscle growth. All it does is when you move a muscle, it's like, I'll try and make it as basic and as quick as possible. There's like little rowboats as muscle fibers, and they reach back with the oar, and they clip onto another sort of, let's say they take a stroke. I'll make it simple. Mm-hmm. They reach back with their oar, they put the oar in, and they push against it. And then that snap, that when they let go and take their next stroke, that's what's a product called adenosine diphosphate. And it used to be triphosphate. So what you need to do is you get the phosphate from something, and creatine phosphate is what that product is. So it adds in the phosphate, so you have more in your system. So you're able to do You're able to rebind those things together from adenosine diphosphate to triphosphate. So, but that's one part. Whereas I actually don't take creatine in summer for muscle or for, my gym workout. I take it because it actually has this water holding capacity. So it's used for a bit of volumization. So you tend to puff up a little bit, not literally, but you get bigger.
But you'll get a visual impact.
Yeah, you'll see that if you do weigh yourself on one of the fancy scales, you will see your water holding capacity go up. You will see your weight go up. So, this is the problem. If you're a lady and you're weight conscious, taking creatine is you're going to put on more weight, but it's water. Now, that's great for so many different things, especially when if you're out in a hot environment, carrying a little bit more water is actually beneficial for you. The other thing that I take creatine for is for cognitive, use. It's great for your brain. So that's, they're the main things. Whenever I talk to people about creatine, I always say cognition and, and water holding, especially in summer. And sure, gym, it's like a byproduct. And don't load with it. All these people sort of say, oh, you've got to take more at the start. You've got to sort of do this for 5 days and then you take it for this and then you've got to cycle it. No.
Just start taking it.
Just start taking it. Find out what your body weight is. And I normally, I'm 85 kilos. I take about 8 to 10 grams, which is,
because I think that because we spoke about the creatine thing after the last recording, it kind of drove into a conversation about the protein powders and the supplements that way, where people that are going to the gym, I've done it for years, are scooping this and I can't do it consistently, so I never know if it's actually working.
Yeah.
There's often been a large tub of some sort of really nice flavor, cookie dough,
It's in a big pack so you can cover it under your arms so it pushes on your bicep.
you lift it above your head.
Massive, Yeah.
But suddenly it sits in the cupboard for like 6 months and I'm like, I should have done that all by now. Yeah. But the thing you mentioned to me was how, very simply, if it tastes good, it can't be that good for you. And creatine doesn't taste it. And I've recently started, since our last conversation, I've recently started taking creatine. And you're 100% correct. It tastes nothing to nothing awful.
Yeah.
It's really not that pleasant.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to think for the first time, that's it kind of, I drink it and I'm like, that gives me a bit more confidence.
Yeah.
Because of basically what we were talking about.
Yeah.
When it comes to the protein powders, and again, you mentioned something to me about how they measure protein.
Yeah.
And that it's kind of not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And so what is that process? And how is that, I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong, is it misleading on the packaging?
Yeah. Well, I think anything that's marketing a product's probably misleading.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So I guess the one thing that we should say is that, if it tastes good, it's probably bad for you. That's for anything in a packet. So if you're picking up a bag, a box or a barcode on stuff, that's probably an indication that you just have to be a little bit more careful. Because I go back to Australia, we go onto the farm and my, uncle's got an amazing property that, he looks after extremely well. He grows tomatoes. You've never, well, you may have had tomatoes, but they, in Europe, the little Italian sort of farmers that are, growing sort of his tomatoes and looks after them, you taste it and you go, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing I've ever had. There's a reason behind that. If it tastes so good, you should eat more of it because your body's saying that's really good, as opposed to the thing that's in the packet or the box, with the barcode on it. So with the proteins, protein powders or whey protein, I do take a protein powder. I look for one that's actually low in sugar because I want to keep it out as much as possible. But with protein powders, the way that you can't measure protein by just, either, let's say, a steak, putting it on the scales and weighing it, saying that's X amount of protein. Because you hear that there's protein in peas and there's protein in nuts. And so how do you figure it out? The way that they do it is there's generally two ways. There's the Kaldar method and then there's the Domas method. They're both interesting. One uses sulfuric acid to break it down, and the other one actually burns it and combusts it in a sort of sealed environment and then measures, the particulates that come off. So, and it's easy to look up both methods. We'll give you the breakdown. So the thing is, what you do is in that process, you're actually measuring nitrogen because protein has nitrogen in it. So there's, I think it's 6.25. So it's about 16% of protein is nitrogen. So when you're measuring something out, you can say, okay, well, how much nitrogen is coming off? That's how much protein there is in it, because you're measuring the nitrogen part. So you look at amino acids. Amino acids are have nitrogen in them. So there's other products that are cheap that have a lot of nitrogen in them. So you can just pop them in there. So what you do is when you're measuring the protein levels or the nitrogen levels, you're putting a lot more nitrogen into a product, but it doesn't actually have to be protein. And so this is the whole thing about, as much as you can, you should be eating the ingredient that you're after. And if I'm not going to get into whether or not you're a vegan or a carnivore, but for me, I want the ingredients that I can see and I know what it is. So we eat a lot of meat, grass-fed. We make sure it's quality. The farmers are, they're good farmers, and it's not on some branch that's being, it's like a real process. But that's how I grew up. My uncle, you can hear the passion in his voice when he talks about the sheep that he rears for wool and the beef that he rears for your dinner plate. He's passionate about it. Once you're cooking it properly, he gets upset when things go off the market. He takes a real passion about it. So I think you should as well.
No, I 100%. I completely agree with. I think you made an analogy before about why have a protein shake after the gym when you can just have 5 eggs.
Yeah.
Is it 5 eggs or 4 eggs?
Eggs.
Eggs in general.
I speak to my daughter about it. Eggs are really important. And people go, what about the cholesterol? Oh, what about the cholesterol? We're back to the cholesterol thing again. But don't eat egg white. The thing that grows, and sure, you can, we're probably going to get lots of comments about, eggs are bad for you from the vegans, but, you can have that argument. But the thing that grows that chicken in the egg is the yolk. It's a package. So having an egg white omelette is pointless. You want the yolk as well. And that's why, I usually eat I probably have 5 eggs a day.
No, eggs are very good.
And choose how to eat it. But, it's a big thing for my daughter about making sure that I get that yolk. I hide it somewhere, because she needs to, grow up and be strong, and, you need the good building blocks, strong foundations build good people.
I like that. That's really good. Would you say then that protein shakes are good for you?
I think the right ones, you need to find a quality one.
What defines a quality one then? What would be, so something that says cookie dough and everything like that? Okay, well, your reaction.
Well, that's everything. That's like the...
Would you say put that down immediately because you're only doing that so it tastes good?
Yeah.
Because after a hard gym session and you have your protein shake...
And your protein bar.
And we'll get to protein bars. You fill your protein shake full of water and shake it. You go in the steam room or whatever, and it's cookies and cream.
Yeah.
After an intense gym session, that is a euphoric experience. Sitting there consuming something that tastes amazing, the water's freezing, you're sitting in a sauna or steam, you're like, oh, and the whole thing now seems worth it because you have had a really good gym session.
Yeah.
But is that actually not a good thing to do after a session? Because there's so much weeds, which is like you should get protein in 20 minutes afterwards or 25 minutes afterwards. It's like,
and this is the thing about, this is my slight frustration. You can, look at if people want to, find me, on Instagram, you'll see like, I don't have big followers. I just tend to get on with my own thing. If someone wants to talk to, about it, I'm interested and I happily give my opinion. But you can go out and get other people's opinion. I'm not after, the whole clickbait thing of, people coming up with their own theories. And there's lots out there. The idea of, making sure that you've got your protein, within range of doing your workout is because, during the workout, if you've done it properly and spent less time off taking photos of yourself, doing the workout or setting up your camera to, do the workout and get in the way of the people that are actually wanting to do their workout, you're in and out. And then you want to take on that protein as fast as you can to rebuild, or those amino acids to build up, those tears in that you've produced in your muscles, which not a bad tear like a hamstrings tear from
the principle of building muscle.
That's how it happens. So you want to get it on quickly. And for me, like, I'm a big one for base. It's local. The guys are awesome. And, I love that product. There's other stuff that we sell in the shop with SIS. But, as I say, they're into getting quality product. I know the guys, they're into it. The marketing is, sure, it's there, but they're actually bodybuilders. They're into it. It's not, there's a Coca-Cola behind the brand, and then you follow the money type thing. So there are quality ones out there, and I'd look for ones that are actually, quality protein. I'm not one for pea protein either.
Okay.
Because like James Cameron.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Cameron. Yeah. So, the Game Changers thing on Netflix?
No.
Okay. So
I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, have a look at it. But Game Changers had such a following that, everyone was watching it. Everyone was sort of said cholesterol's bad and this is bad, and you should be eating more vegetables or be vegetarian or be vegan. You look at the people behind it. James Cameron, he has $140 million pea plantation, and he invested in Game Changers. Like, follow fucking money.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing that infuriates me, that everyone's onto Game Changers. Oh, this is amazing. And lots of people watched it. It's a whole marketing scam. Like, if you just ate properly, worked out, watched what you eat, gave a bit.
You can say it. Gave a shit like about what you're doing. Yeah.
You realize that actually you put time and effort in the things that actually make you better. These people it's just full marketing. It infuriates me, because you hear people chirping away at it, and you're just like, you've just been fed a line, and you have no idea. You haven't actually done your research. You haven't looked behind the scenes.
But this is the problem with all of us at the moment. Maybe not all of us, but most of us.
Yeah.
Which is, I want to get healthy, so I'm really bad at this.
Yeah.
I want to get healthy. I've got better at it, but at one point I was really bad at this. I want to get healthy, so I watch a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I think I've done something.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
Yeah.
I want to get motivated, so I watch a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So I think but I'm not. It's action faking.
Yeah.
So it's like writing a list.
Yeah.
I wrote a list. But you haven't done anything.
Yeah. Spend more time. I mean, there must be data out there on how much time we spend, doom scrolling, or looking at social media of stuff that doesn't change. How does 5 minutes flicking through Instagram or flicking through, although it's great for when promoting Tasty Humans, but that's the whole thing. Like, look at the stuff where you're listening to somebody or people that actually sparking a thought. Some person that's, taking a video of them, in their, lingerie, yeah, great. It sort of ticks the male, box, but actually you getting anything from that because they're making a whole lot of money off it. So why don't you do something that's good for you? Rather than sort of scrolling through, why don't you do this? I'd say people, like, even for TV, I'm not like, I watch TV if it's if it's interesting, or I'll watch a show. Sometimes it bores my wife of the stuff that I watch, but if I find myself sitting there too long, you're just like, well, you add in, people sort of say, oh, Nick, what can I do extra for my cycling? Or, what do you do? I'm like, well, why don't you do 10 squats every couple of minutes? If you find yourself sitting watching TV or sitting at your desk too long, it looks weird in an open office, but, if you're doing 10 squats every 2 minutes and you're watching half an hour of TV, 150 squats. If I said to you, Sam, go and do 150 squats, you're like, oh, when am I going to do that?
Yeah.
But yet you're fine for,
100%.
flying through. So I think we're probably like the speed, we all want it quick. We all want to lose weight quick just so that we can get back on our phones and, look at mindless stuff that doesn't make us better.
A very wise person, and she knows who she is, said to me recently, I don't know if I agree with it, but social media is not the problem. It's the person using it and what you're looking at.
Yeah, 100%.
And I have started to really get really careful about what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the same thing about the gun theory. Guns don't kill people.
Yeah, the person that
pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
Now, sure, there's a lot of stuff behind that you have to unwrap.
Yes.
But it's the whole thing about it. You're absolutely, well, she's absolutely right, or, is maybe taking it from somebody else. But the people that think that way, they're 100% right. It's not the thing that you're, doing. It's the reason behind it and what you're getting,
And the thing is that I think we've segued slightly, but the algorithms are not showing you what they want you to look at.
Yep.
They're showing you what they think you want to look at based on what you look at. And I've realized that if I start to look at things that are benefiting me better, it starts to show me things. And my doom scrolling is disappearing because I'm enjoying what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Same thing about the people that you hang out with.
Oh, you have no clue.
I can't find anybody. I'm going to, maybe say something that, might get told off about later. But you're not...
I'm pretty scared.
Yeah. No,
say
but you people sort of say, oh, there's no nice guys out there, or there's no, nice girls out there. We're getting on, as you said, segue. But the whole thing is, you're not going to find... If you're spending your time in smoky pubs, you're not going to find the person that is wanting to stay healthy or go to the gym. You're going to find them in a gym.
Yeah.
And if you're working out, you're going to stand out because most of the people are on their phones in the gym, or taking photos of themselves. You are easy to spot if you are working out, looking not as good as what you normally do, a bit of sweat and your hair over your face and whatever, you sort of look at, someone will spot you and go, wow, that's a fair effort that's going on there. And they're doing it for a reason, so that when they get out, they're actually, you can read about like how that effort of, going to the gym and doing a hard workout and the benefits, for hours after that go on. So you're going to find the people, you're going to, if you put the right thing into the body, you're going to get the benefits on it. You hang around the right people, you are going to get benefits from hanging around those people, because they won't get you back into what you were trying to get out of, or what you are trying to get out of. So,
and also, I think one thing I would love to add to that, because that is priceless, which is if you're in the gym and you have time, if you actually have the mental clarity to... Clarity is the wrong word, but to then pick up your phone, look at your phone, do something on your phone, access your camera, take a freaking picture, upload it, do something like that. You're not working out correctly because your heart rate is slowing down and your muscles are starting to retract. And essentially, you should be performing the set,
Yeah.
resting for a minute to 90 seconds, and you should be to failure maybe on the last rep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pending, that is very in the weeds, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you should be resting, because what you're about to do takes all your focus to get back to it.
Yeah.
So it's like aggressive music in the headphones, push through it, power through it, repair your head, because it's taken all of your energy to do that last rep or 2 reps. If you've got time to get on your phone and start go, then you're not working out properly.
Yeah, no.
You're going to be in there half an hour longer than you should be, and you're getting half the benefit. And I don't know how many people realize that when they look at a potential fitness influencer that's filming themselves doing sets, there's something that's...
How many of them look sweaty?
So I suppose now I'm thinking about it, what you're looking at is good because they're showing you technique.
Yeah.
And if they're well structured and they're well built, then what you're looking at is the right way to do things. What you're not looking at is a proper workout as it's happening.
Yeah, but I can... Yeah,
What do you think of that?
This might be, another thing, but it depends on your workout and your rates and your rest times and all of that. My big thing, and I used to, because of when I was coaching like rowing for like many years and winning crews, there's a thing called proprioception, and it's knowing where your body is in the space. So I was talking to somebody the other day that just got a rower, a proper Concept 2 rowing ergometer. And, I was saying to them, like, I'll come round and actually make sure that your technique's good. Because so many people think their technique's good. You can't watch a video and think and sort of go, oh, yeah, that's fine. I know how to do that. I watched, these, high rocks, the CrossFit games. Their rowing technique is out the window. You want to talk about injuries? Like, you're well on the road to getting injured. And, I've said to so many people, like, that are at the gym, I go, I'm probably that annoying guy, but I just walk over and go, I hope you don't mind, can I just give you a couple of pointers on your rowing technique, because you'll get more out of it, because you see that they're trying to do it, but they'll get injured. So you have to be put in the right position to know where you're at. And watching a video is great, but actually going to the gym and asking for help, by somebody is the best way. Looking at somebody doing the technique and sort of saying to somebody, do you mind if, you sort of just check my form, make sure they're actually educated on it. But yeah.
No, and again, there's so many questions, but there's something you said a while back, 10 minutes ago, that my brain has gone, do not let that go.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Which is, you said about protein powders, I believe, and that, Coca-Cola's behind it. And it's before you went into the James Cameron point, which is, that's bizarre, can you explain why Coca-Cola, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Right. So
I know where you're going.
Coca-Cola is a soft drink full of sugar, and they make tons of soft drinks that are full of sugar.
Yeah.
Why are they producing whey proteins or stuff like this? Why are they involved in this?
You spoke to me about the idea of, talking about the proteins, talking about this.
Yeah.
We're talking and giving people the less weedy approach, or a few ideas to get away from the sugary drinks. And also we should mention, thank God that the UAE is changing their laws again on sugary drinks, and actually like putting additional sort of taxes and requirements in, because Coca-Cola knows that market share of, it's a drop in the ocean, but they're a huge company making lots of money out of a really cheap product with huge margins on them. If you're losing a little bit of your traction, you want to see where they're going? They're going over to fitness. Oh, well, we need to, buy that drink over there. What's that product over there? Oh, that, Gatorade. That's a sports drink. What do we want for that? Well, if people are moving from here to there, we need to make sure that we're at least capturing that market. So you have a look, you go back through all these companies, you look on the back of the packet, and you'll see those big companies because they're losing market share in one. They want to pick it up in another. Well, I might as well give you something. And if I can, I'll sneak some sugar into it. And it's the same thing about, I know we've touched on the protein bars, a little bit, but
protein bars.
I just don't see the point.
Big topic.
You can, I've got as I said, grew up on a farm, meat's not a problem. I've got a South African, other side to the family. Biltong is, a big part of it. So snacking on biltong, I've probably got 3 packets of biltong in my, bag. I'm constantly eating it because I need about, 1 to 1.2 grams of, protein for my body weight, So I'm eating 80 grams of, protein, a day. Well, if I can get it out of, real protein, then I'll take it that way. So I don't eat the bars that, taste nice and have X amount of protein in it. But once again, we get back to the protein argument of, is it protein? What protein is it? How have they measured it? And what's actually in there? Why are you eating the bar? Oh, it's easy and it's fast and it's easy for me to grab because I'm on the go.
Yep.
Looking at my phone again, eating a bar. So I don't see why those products are actually
they're glorified chocolate bars.
They are.
They're actually more expensive.
Yeah,
So
they probably want you to buy them.
Well, this is the thing. As
Rather than a Mars bar.
somebody myself who has consumed a disgusting amount of confectionery, I was actually thinking when I was driving here this morning, I was like, if someone took all the sugar that I've consumed in my life and showed me what it looked like,
you get scared.
I don't think scared would be the word.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be humiliated, embarrassed, why am I not dead?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But then along comes protein bars when I decide to go, right, I'm going to go to the gym and take this seriously because I've turned 40 and it all goes downhill real quick, you know, because it does, which is now I barely touch confectionery.
Yeah.
And I used to destroy that. I still have a very unhealthy relationship with ice cream.
Yeah.
But barely touch the confectionery. But suddenly the reason why is because now I can have protein bars because I'm in the gym and it's got 20% protein. in it.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting any smaller. And I actually got fatter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Probably. There's a great, I can call her a friend, Nicola. And I think about her life often, and she's type 1 diabetic. Mm-hmm. And whenever people sort of comment about like what to eat or what to think about, I always say, eat like somebody with type 1 diabetes.
Which is?
Well,
How does that affect? Because I think this is very important.
Yeah,
how does that affect people?
So they're constantly watching. They can't process sugar. Yeah, basically, if they ate something sugary, their blood sugar would go up because what happens is your body goes, okay, I'll grab that, and it's in your bloodstream, so it gets sort of taken around to the various places. Whether or not you're doing a workout, it goes into those muscles to be used. Sure, a little bit's stored as fat because then there's a process there, but your body does not want sugar in the bloodstream. And only it wants it there when it's actually got a use for it, and then it sort of mobilizes it to where it needs it. But you eating, sugary drinks or eating sugary products, your body doesn't want it in there, so you end up with this you end up with a really high blood sugar. So you get this insulin release. There's a process that happens, and then that takes it out and opens up the gateways into your cells, so that your cells end up taking it in and pulling it out of the bloodstream and storing it. So if you're a diabetic, you take insulin, you have that needle, and they're constantly pricking their fingers to make sure that they're in range. Now, obviously after a lifetime of it, she's an expert, but you go riding with her and she's snacking on sugar to obviously bump up her sugar because it's not release the same way as we have it automated. But she'll also check when she's on a low. There's another guy that I rode with who, if like a mad triathlete, Adam, fantastic guy. But if you're aware of somebody like that, and you think about that, if you're eating something sugary, you've got to take this to combat it. Yeah. Or you've got to go out and do a walk or exercise. Why would you eat, something sugary? Oh, because it makes me feel good. Yeah, because it stimulates the brain. So that's why I guess after a time, I have this thing where I say, eat like a diabetic. Be conscious of how much you take in, and that it has to be stored. Once it's stored, you've got to get rid of it. The only way you get rid of it is by exercising, so that your body goes, oh, I need that energy. I need to release it so that I've got the energy to work out. And that's whether it's a walk, having a meal and then walking straight away. You can look up, great one is Glucose Goddess, great sort of podcast and Instagram account. But she's great of like how she lays it all out.
What's good about her is she eats sugar.
Yeah.
She openly says she loves chocolate, but she just wants everyone to understand it better.
Exactly.
Which I think is very important.
And I think pick the right sugar. Don't pick the sugar that's, loaded up like milk chocolate. I mean, we've got chocolate in the cupboards. It's all dark chocolate. It's all, over 80%. So when you want it, and at 80% and you eat it, it tastes sweet. It tastes bad, at the start. But, after a while, your body gets, used to it. Your palate gets,
But do you think that the problem with our relationship to sugar is that we see it as a reward, and a point and we see it as a treat. So some restaurants call the dessert the sweet end. Do you know what I mean? When you're younger, for instance, it's almost like a behavioural control, which is don't run around screaming all day, Sam, and I'll give you a Mars bar. So I am literally holding my hand over my mouth so I get the treat later on.
Yeah.
But I was unlucky enough to start smoking when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then approximately, I'd say 20 odd years later, probably more, I was lucky enough to be able to give up.
Good.
Well which
done.
was a slog. And one of the things that changed one of the real triggers that made me go, oh, I didn't think of it that way, was, I think it's in that really, really famous book, Alan Carr, not the comedian, Way to Give Up Smoking, where he writes, you smoke because you feel stressed, but you feel stressed because you smoke.
Yeah.
And I thought leading up to this, I would ask you, do you think that analogy could apply to sugar?
Yeah.
Where we're consuming loads of sugar.
Yeah.
And it's making us more stressed and more unhealthy. So we feel we need to consume sugar to deal with it. Yeah. Where if we didn't do any of this.
Yeah. Because it is this constant wave through the day, where you eat sugar at the start of the day, like that healthy breakfast, cornflakes, glass of orange juice, highly processed, crappy bit of, bread. You eat that at the start, and that kicks off your sugar levels, and then your insulin is trying to sort of bring it back down to normal levels. But then you get that, so you look for a cup of coffee at 11 o'clock, and
I was about to say caffeine.
I'll grab that muffin again. So you eat the muffin, and then it's back up again, and then it's like this slow crash, and then the 3 o'clock slump in the office, after lunch, you're like, so tired. I've got to go and get something to eat. What do you get? Something sweet, kicks, you back up again. So I think once you understand how it all works in that play, that you end up taking things that are, less sugary. I don't understand, the whole getting off cigarettes, because I've never smoked. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because didn't have the lung capacity of a lot of people that I, rode with and cycled with. And I was always, trying to be the guy to catch up.
You probably saw from a very early age that it's just shit. No, because it is like, I'm not going to go on a rant, but it was the cool kids were doing it. But it's really bad for you. Other things, drinking and stuff, fun with that from time to time. Cigarettes, freaking pointless.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
But it's but I think, you know, it's the same thing. You get that same trigger in your brain of, you know, fats and, you know, sugars, and you get that spark and that dopamine hit, and you're like, oh wow, this is great. And coming off sugar when I did, I'm told that it's about the same. You just get these thumping, banging headaches that they seem not to stop. And, you know, see, my thing is I don't try and take anything to combat that. I wouldn't take Panadol to combat that because the thing is then you're dulling that trigger. So do you want that to happen again next time? This is my whole thing. And it's the same thing with, you know, the easy street. I don't see the point in easy street. You know, it's tough. Like, you know, I work out as much as I can. You know, we have a home gym. I do, you know, a little bit, you know, a lot. And, but that's what I need for me just to stay fit and healthy so I can run around with, you know, my daughter. I can, you know, go for a ride with my mates and keep up with them and, you know, have a conversation. So I think that's the you know, the main thing. And I guess, you know, we did want to, you know, try and touch on the Ozempic thing. That I think that's probably one of those easy, you know, streets that there's been no heartache in trying to get the weight off. And there's just been another easy street. But the problem with Ozempic, and I hope that we've got, you know, a little bit of time, is that
we have, yeah.
Ozempic stops you from eating. So I'm sure everybody must have heard of it by now, but it comes from a lizard, and it's a, you know, GLP-1 inhibitor. So it basically stops you from wanting to eat. So what ends up happening is that you stop eating, or that what you eat is very minimal. Yeah. But liquids, not so much. And the interesting thing about these drugs is that you're not eating, yeah? So just keep that in mind and park it on one side. But what you lose in weight is probably 40% lean muscle mass.
Yeah.
Some of them, they say it's actually more. So the whole thing about losing fat is you look at people, and I mean, you can tend to, when you know what you're looking for, you can spot it. And you can see somebody that's on Ozempic, because what happens is their face goes really gaunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're losing muscle mass. And people go, oh yeah, but you know, I'll just thin down a little bit more. That's muscle mass in your face, in your heart, in like critical organs that have muscles in them that are used to do things in your body. You lose that muscle mass. And if people understood, it's not like a choice where you take the drug and your body goes, oh no, don't use it there. I need that. That's important. It doesn't happen. It's everything. And also with what you eat, if you're not eating, how are you taking on your 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per body weight kilo? How are you taking that on to actually function and rebuild the muscles that's, you know, that you need to do, and all this other stuff? You know, when you need to do a workout, oh yeah, I'm doing a workout, you know, to make sure that I stay strong. Like, you don't have the ability to rebuild the muscle that you need to, or grow stronger, because you're not taking on the energy or the fuel and the sort of proteins for structure. You're not taking them on. So as soon as you understand, like, you know, taking Ozempic at the start to lose a bit of weight is great. Yeah. But get off it as fast as you can and start doing the hard workouts where you get to the end and you go, oh, I'm absolutely shagged, but how good's that?
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee the next 2 hours you're on a high. And you're on a great high.
But I couldn't agree 100%, because nobody realizes what a good workout feels like until you've done it.
Yeah.
They also don't realize that 5-minute mental thing before you're going to start, where your body is going, don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't need to do this. You did it yesterday. You'll do it tomorrow.
It hurts.
And you really, like, people think that the essence to a great workout is the ability to get off the fucking couch.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the real key, to
100%.
get up there and go down and do it. I think another thing is it's the habits. You have replaced you've replaced your donut that oh my God, you've now replaced it with Ozempic.
Yeah.
Do you inject yourself? I'm injecting myself with a fake thing here.
Yeah.
But it's like but you haven't changed. You've still got an issue with, I do this and I don't like, so now I'm just doing that to stop this. You need to fix this bit.
Yeah.
And we are coming to the end, the close of time, but I have an analogy about sugar, right? In a comparison to Class A drugs. And again, we spoke about this, where I really want people possibly or hopefully to watch this and not get caught in the weeds.
Yeah.
And to actually, and I want to get your opinion on it, which is, if you consume a lot of sugar, makes you feel good, right? Over time makes you feel great, and you're doing it every day and you think you're getting a benefit out of it. And then you decide you want to stop, because long-term abuse is going to kill you. And then it's hard to come off of it. You're getting headaches. You're withdrawing.
Yeah.
You're suffering anxiety. There's a lot of correlation here between that and the top line Class A illegal substances.
Yeah.
The second thing is, if I took these to a supermarket and I said I'd like to put these in funny, bright coloured packages and sell them to kids, I'd go to jail.
Yeah.
And
the other reason why you can't do that is because the people that are making all the sugar, that are paying for, all the little backhanders, that's probably another thing why you're the guys that are producing all those Class 1A, drugs, is that other people don't, like them, but they're making a lot of money. Same people that are making a lot of money out of sugar, but then are going, all right, I'm going to pay you this to say this or do this, or, get this through for me, or push this bill through, for me. The sooner we realize that you're absolutely right, that sugar is a drug. And maybe in 20 years' time, hopefully not, hopefully it's sooner, there'll be the same warnings on packets. And the whole, we got really quickly into it with fat-free.
Yeah.
Fat-free this. Why is fat bad? Just explain to me which fat we're talking about, because if you're talking about vegetable fat, 100%, I totally agree with you. But if you're talking about butter, if you're talking about, good fats off, animal products, I don't see what you're talking about there. Because back in the 60s, you didn't see too many fat people. Soon as we started, soon as cottonseed oil sort of stopped being used as, a mechanical lubricant, and someone said, we can actually change that around and we can turn that into a butter. You make sure that the mums of the family and the women of the family, we market it to them, and we can get margarine into their, and then we can use it as a spread that's a lot better. And suddenly what happened? Everyone started getting fat. So it's the same thing around sugar. I think you just need those warning labels, just like you've got on the cigarette packets. I think we need warning labels on sugar to highlight the fact, like, this entire row of colourful products and big boxes and everything like that is full of sugar. But probably the little box down there, or the little packet down there that didn't have the marketing spend to get up into the middle or eye level row, that packet down there might be a little bit better for you. Little bit better. And that's the whole thing. Little changes, I think, is key.
Well, look, we're getting a little bit pushed for time, but I have 3 questions and I'm going to ask them, so I'm going to do it. All right. Which is supermarkets.
Yep.
Are they working against you in their setup? Is it a minefield, or is it more like a casino?
I think, they're a business. So they're just after the person that's going to pay them the most. And I think the cheap products that are empty, that are making huge amounts of money and have huge margins on them, is where they're going to get the marketing spend. So I think that's, like, there's probably parts of each. Yeah.
So where is it better to buy when you go into a supermarket? What's it better to go for? Because I think people say what's ever on the outside.
Yeah, but I'd sort of say the thing that doesn't have a barcode on it, the thing that's not in a box, and the thing that's not in a bag. That's what I'd go after because it's real food. Broccoli looks like broccoli. I don't like broccoli. Okay, we'll have something else. You know, I eat chicken, I eat peas, I eat whatever. Get the thing that looks like it says when you're reading a recipe and you say beans, buy the beans. Don't buy the thing that's, you know, has bean flavor in it and bean this. So I'd sort of say eat the product of what it says, you know, like what it looks like and what it is, the real thing. I'd eat that first.
All right. My next question is the sugar industry, these are more statements. And if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong, because I do love a big, loud statement. Do you know what I mean?
I don't.
But the thing is, the sugar industry wants you to get fat.
Yep.
So you can be ill.
Yeah.
So Big Pharma can sell you a load of drugs, because Big Pharma have never cured anybody, right? They've just give you stuff to help you deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? But so Big Pharma can sell you drugs and keep you in this cycle.
Yep.
Big Fitness, as I'm now calling it, wants you to get into shape, but it also wants to sell you diets and food plans and everything else. Which do you think is worth more money? Make you fit or make you sick?
I'll make you sick 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. I think you spend more time. You don't need, like, just either get the gym membership or go for a walk or grab 5 friends that you sort of say, I'll turn up. You know, that's what I loved about rowing. I guaranteed every single training session to 8 other people that I would be there. And if I wasn't, there was a hole in the boat and it didn't work properly. And I think that's what you need, is you need to find people around you, like get a little group together, you know, invite yourself, you know, invite each other around for, you know, dinner on a Saturday night and make something that you made with ingredients, not out of a packet. You know, if you can't cook, you know, if everyone, you got to give it a shot. So I think it's very much along the lines of pull people in around you that you want to be either like, or you think they will support you on what is really better. The whole thing with, the cheap products and the cheap things, you'll end up, you know.
Well, it's because I think part of what drives my kind of outbursty statements is that for many, many years in my life, I was really naive to the, surely they wouldn't do that.
Oh, yeah.
No, for real. Like, really like, yeah, but, you know, you'd hear you go, yeah, but, you know, the governing bodies and the FDAs and this, that, and everything else, they're not going to allow someone to lie on a packet and then we're going to eat it. It's going to make us sick. And it's like, recently in the last couple of years, I've come around to the thought of, no, they are.
They 100% are.
Do you know what I
and
mean?
we realised that in about the last, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. And I'm like, and instead of walking, when I go shopping, or don't get me wrong, on Saturday I had like a cheat day, and my God, in the evening did I cheat. You know, I've said before, ice cream, biscuits, cookie, all in one bowl. Yeah. And so it must have been sugar and calories off the chain. And I've always been that way inclined, but
have a cheat day.
I am thinking more.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing.
That's the point.
Have a cheat day if you need it, for whatever reason. Have it. But just don't do it all the time. You know, I mean, I have cheat days as well. You know, my wife laughs at me. She's like, you know, well, look at what you had. I was like, yeah, I felt like it. But going to the gym, go for a walk, you know, I do something about it. So, I mean, have the cheat day. But just make sure that the majority of what you do is for the better pathway forward than, you know, getting back on, you know, that other side where you were grumpy, you had problems, and then you went to the doctor to take this, and they said take this, and then you took that, and then you're back on it again, and yeah. So yes.
No, fantastic. And my final question, because this has been awesome, and funnily enough, again, I thought, are we going to have enough to talk about? And I was like, there's still a million questions I've got for you.
100%.
But what would be the top 3 things that a human being that wakes up in the morning and is already under pressure because of their life? They wake up, they have to go to work, they're already thinking about the kids, they've got to pay their bills, they're essentially living paycheck to paycheck, they're very much grab and go, they're stressed, they're not the person that gets to look at Instagram, and they're not the person that gets a really good gym membership. You know, it's the people in the cycle that don't have time to watch every YouTube video that was ever made, and even this amazing podcast that we've done. But what are the 3 things that somebody could do that they don't even have to really think about that could change their intake of healthy food? Do you get what I'm saying? Food. So, because everyone is trying to break down, think about it. Are you this? Did I get enough sleep? If I eat that, it's like, no, you're the average person that sleeps terribly, works hard, and doesn't have any money.
Well, I mean, I think consistency is always going to be key. Mm-hmm. Like with sleep, go to bed at try and go to bed at the same time, because you will certainly you have to wake up at that time, whatever that is. Make sure you get enough sleep. Sleep is key. Mm-hmm. You not having sleep messes up everything else. So sleep 100% is the key. Eat the right, eat products that actually are real products. Yeah, whether or not you're vegetarian or vegan, whatever, eat those right products that actually build, give you the structure internally to actually use and build faster. And then I think, just get out for a walk, even if it's a walk in the evening or a walk in the morning, or rather than taking the lift, take the stairs. And sure, it can be hot in the stairwells, of the offices, but maybe in winter, do it. As we said before, don't do it for the photo. Yeah, don't do it for the wedding day and then change everything afterwards. The wedding day should be the start. Like, if I'm going to get fit for my wedding day, make sure you keep on going for the rest of your life. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Nicholas, I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for coming back. I certainly
appreciate it.
got a
Thanks
lot
for
from it,
inviting
and
me
I
back.
hope people that watch it do. So
I hope they get out of it.
I'll see you soon.
Cool. Thanks, buddy.